Old school is the best school.
Old
I was
school is the best school. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Anthony Goodson, and you are watching rebrandUS alongside my co-host Eric Russell. What's up, Eric? Eric, you're gonna be sharing a screen tonight with Remember Their Lives, the individuals that was shot in Buffalo, New
I
York.
see.
So hopefully you don't mind. Looks like you got a lot of room. Apparently, Eric has lost a lot of weight tonight, y'all, for this purpose, right?
Something like that.
Really?
One night only.
Also, we have Adrian Ace Stinson. What's up, Ace?
What's up, world? How y'all doing out there?
And then we have you know what? Let me go ahead and say first before we introduce our special co-host for tonight. Kim is not going to be in with us tonight. Kim Dial. Please, everybody, go to Facebook. And Kim is now the proud. Maybe should I say it or should I let her?
No, I would let her.
say
I would
it.
let her. Yeah.
We're in a contract dispute. She wants more money.
Anyway, go to her page. She's got it there if you're friends with her. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. I'm going to let Eric say her last name. We have Helen. Honestly, Helen, last name?
Susteridge.
And Susteridge. I want to put a line over to you. I'm sorry.
We got to deal with that Morris Day or Skagarachi or something.
Hey, we are opening the show with just a little bit more energy than we really need. Tonight is a very, very, very serious subject. Be sure to go and share the page. You know what? While I'm sitting here talking to y'all, I'm going to go ahead and share the page live on air right now. So y'all
share the page tonight.
Yeah, Ace supposed to say that a couple times a show, but he never do. So,
do it count that I just said it?
Man, he called everybody out tonight. Ace, worry about it.
No one says.
It's on. Nobody's off limits tonight. So tonight we're having a very serious conversation. We're talking about Buffalo, New York, and the shootings that happened there this past Saturday at 2:30 p.m., where 10 people were shot and killed. I think more were shot, but 10 were killed. So we're gonna talk about that tonight. And before we do, let's take a look at this real quick. I actually thought there was sound to this. I apologize.
Why don't you narrate it for us?
I'll let you. Anyway, as you're watching the continuing coverage of individuals who were shot and killed in Buffalo, New York, for absolutely no reason whatsoever, I think it's always important to give credit to the victims, not to the ones who did the shooting. Littleton, Colorado, everybody remembers Dylan and Clevo. Nobody remembers the individuals who were shot. So, of course, Andre McNeil there, he didn't get a chance to get a picture up. But let's go back to Littleton, Colorado, and talk about that real quick. Dylan and Clevo, I don't remember their last names, but I just gave them a little praise by even saying their name. They were the victors, so to speak, although they did kill themselves. And there was one young lady, white lady, girl. She was, obviously in high school, but they pointed the gun at her and asked her if she believed in Christ. And she said yes. And so they said, okay, and they killed her. For that reason, had she said no, she wouldn't have gotten killed. So to me, that girl's always been a hero for standing up for what she believes in. Now we're in a different situation. The situation is based off race, because these people were black, not because they were bullying anybody, because they were black and they just so happened to be at a grocery store in Buffalo, New York. These individuals were shot. These 10 black individuals were shot and killed. Tell me what y'all think about this.
I think it's a shame.
Go ahead, Ace, finish.
Oh, that's it. I just think it's a shame. I can't use the kind of language that I want to because here at rebrandUS, we're a family show.
Oh, thanks for saying that because my mouth is not family oriented.
I
agree. If I'm being completely honest, and this is unfortunate to say, I'm sad, but I wasn't moved because this is not new. This is same SHIT, different day, to be honest. And that's what bothers me more, which is selfish, that I'm not even bothered that these innocent lives got taken. Because are we surprised?
Desensitized.
I'm super desensitized. And that is very unfortunate. But I saw it and I was like, oh, okay. And I kept going because that's not uncommon for me to see now. And I think this pandemic really, unfortunately, has forced me to deal with some of these. George Floyd, the guy that they killed with the truck, but not the one that we were talking about yesterday, like with the, what was his name? It was right before George Floyd.
Yeah, Trayvon Martin. You had.
Oh no, the guy skipped the one that was jogging.
Yeah.
Like jogging,
Oh, recently, yeah, in Georgia.
Yeah, so like the pandemic hitting and then us going through these situations, I've had time to really live in my emotions for those situations. So when this happened, I don't have the inner, like, it's so draining to always go back into that space, that dark space. Like, damn, you can't even just go to the grocery store and get some toilet paper nowadays without having to worry about if someone's gonna have an off day.
Absolutely. You know, I was reading something, doing some research earlier today, and I was looking at public enemy number one. All right, so the last white public enemy number one we had was it Dillinger in the 1800s.
You said that was the last white public enemy?
After, because they don't have them every year. So 1969 was Fred Hampton. 1971 was the war on drugs. 1965 was, I forgot what it was. But anyway, if you go back in time, it's always black related or it's the war on drugs. And then but public enemy number one is not a white male with an AR-15 ever. You got to wonder about that.
Why not? When that's what it is, though.
And that's the issue, because we look at, like, I guess you could be a public enemy if you just doing random acts of killing and random acts of murder. But I mean, let's be real. Black people don't typically kill more than two people at one time. And if they do kill two people at one time, it's usually a drive-by. And I don't even know if they do those anymore. So a mass shooting, a mass killing is not something we do. So maybe we need to reinvent what qualifies to be a public enemy number one.
Well, I think that you don't have a white public enemy number one, especially if we're talking about these mass shooters, because he's not an enemy to them. He's not a threat to them. And last time I checked, we really want to consider the public.
Yeah, that's my thought process is too. We're not the one qualifying what makes a person the most dangerous. You know what I'm saying? I agree 100% with Ace right there. I think we have to figure out how to get more representation again to make those qualifications more real for everybody, not just one segment of person or people or whatnot. So,
but you bring up a very interesting point, Helen. Helen stated earlier that she's desensitized to this stuff, these issues, these situations. And that's a tough thing to say, because I think whenever I saw Littleton, that was huge. Helen, you were a little kid at that time. I don't even know if you really.
I don't even know what that is.
Littleton, Colorado. What was it?
Colorado.
I know Little Rock, Arkansas. I know that.
It was Colorado.
It was Colorado, but I thought there was a different name. But anyway, that was the first mass shooting that we remember. There was one in the 60s at the University of Texas. But that was the first one.
You talking about Columbine?
Columbine, that's the word I was looking for. Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado. Never heard of it? Okay, well, that was the first mass shooting that we knew of in our lifetime. And it was like, wow. But everything after that is kind of like, well. So
yeah,
I think we're all, at least me, Eric, you desensitized too?
I mean, honestly, when I first saw it, it bothered me. I didn't get enraged, but I became to be very contemplative. And I began to, research more about it. And the more I researched about it and got people's perspective and saw the video, things like that, I became more angry. So I'm like Helen initially. I wasn't very moved or anything initially, but once I got into deeply more involved in what was going on and what had happened, I did become angry. But once again, I wanted to stay contemplative. Like, what did we do from this point? Because it keeps happening. How do we stop it? What do we do when these things happen? So that's where my mind goes typically when these things happen at this point.
The only thing that shocks me is the black community's reaction. Like the judge letting people off don't shock me. The killing itself don't shock me. It's the black community, how we react. We have a little anger and disappointment, but we don't go hard at it like we do with other stuff. We don't go hard at it like we do as far as other situations. And that's kind of the shock, that I.
What other situations would you be talking about?
Yeah.
Just anything, you might have like say some hip hop artist is in jail. You have a free whoever rally and everybody shows up. You'll have these even the big rallies like you have some team or somebody get shot and you have the big rally. Definitely, I'm not condoning anybody getting shot or anything like that, but we've actually had people that were like wrong. They got killed by the police and stuff, and they were wrong. It was like if all the police I would pop them too, and we go wild in the streets and act the fool. And now we got 10 innocent people at a grocery store. It's just kind of like, man, it's messed up. You know,
Well, I feel like when George Floyd died, there was a lot of protests. Like I would say we kind of to Eric, like what Eric was saying. Like, what do we do when he's asking me stuff like, what do we do in this situation? When I think about it, we've tried everything. There was Martin Luther King Jr. There was Malcolm X. There were the entire civil rights movement. I feel like the Black community has tried different methods. We have tried to be seen as more than just dispensable, more than just your anger target. When you upset, when you feel like something not going your way, let me go find somebody Black to take out. And I think at this point, it's not what we need to do. It's what is white America going to do? What is the government who quote unquote says America isn't racist? What are you going to do? Why do these white boys have so much courage and so much confidence to go get guns and shoot up churches?
Mm-hmm. You know what shocks me with that is you shoot up the churches, and this is a question we're going to ask when we come back for our quick little break, but you shoot up a church, you shoot up a grocery store, you get up on top of towers, you shoot stuff, and if you don't kill yourself, to me, it's like you have some level of power. Because you got people who kill themselves because they know they don't want to suffer consequences. But when they don't kill themselves, they know they have some level of power. And to me, that's the bigger picture. So before we go to this break here in a little bit, in fact, we probably talk about it a little before we go to the break. Ace asked a question. He said, do you believe that these events are a part of a bigger plan? Because if they are a part of a bigger plan, the individuals who are a part of it, who's doing the shooting, they know it. They know they're going to either get off or treated like kings in prison or go off to Montana, some new state, and just not be seen, shave their head, and no one knows it's them. But are these events a part of a bigger plan? Now, before we answer that, and audience, we would love for you to answer that too and get in on this. Tell us how you feel about this Buffalo, New York situation. But I think that I see a lot of mass killings. We talked about this earlier on in the show. And they're not all racially or at least Black motivated. You know, you got typically a white guy, a white male, who can't stand whatever group that it is he's targeting, whether they be gay or Asian or whatever the case may be. And he resorts to violence unlike any other, which is murder. I mean, it's not like he's just going around beating up people.
Yeah.
He shoots them with AR-15s. So now, you know, we're going to have to talk about that in a little bit. But anyway, do you think this is a bigger plan? A part of a bigger plan? Hey, so I'll let you go ahead and answer since you asked the question.
Most definitely. So you got to think about these things. This stuff is not random. And it's like this guy didn't just wake up one day and click on and oh my God, I'm gonna go kill. It's part of this thing. Is part of, and D.L. Hughley actually sparked my thought process with this. I was listening to him, and you got to think this thing is part of a bigger system. It's too. They're doing it too. It's calm for them, you know. Even if we talk about the little boy that went to the protest and killed the two people, mama dropped them off, stuff like that. You know, the mother took the child. It's almost kind of like initiation. Kind of like they feel like they're doing their part of a duty or something. And you know, even with him going live while he was doing it, you know, he was showing his actions. He was showing his deeds. You know, it's like he was showing a loyalty to a cause or something. You know, the FBI has already proven, it's documented. You know, just America turns their back and act like they didn't hear. You know, they put the fingers in there. The FBI has documented proof. The investigation has been done that the Ku Klux Klan had a plan implemented, and they successfully implemented their plan. They infiltrated the American police force. Now they're so saturated into the police force, you can't tell who is who. And that's proven by the FBI. So if that plan can be, you know, implemented, I just believe there's a bigger plan going on, and these people are doing this for a cause.
I personally don't think it's part of a bigger plan. I think they're all isolated individuals or individual events. I messed that up. So I think that You know, I believe that we're living amongst a group of racist people who all have a similar thought, and that their thought process usually ends in violence, gun violence. You know, no one's walking around killing people with knives. Anyway, I think that you know, that's the unfortunate part. I do believe though that higher powers are allowing people to get off. You know, meaning judges and whoever writes the laws and all those things. So they kind of have an idea about that, but I don't necessarily think they're having a Zoom meeting on Tuesdays to decide what's happening with these random 10. Like if I was going to be a part of a bigger plan, all right, I think I would be more strategic with it. Killing any random 10 black people is nothing, right? I think there was a plan with Martin Luther King. There was a plan with Malcolm X and Medgar Evers and so forth and so on. But if you're going to kill somebody, you'd be a little bit more strategic with who you kill as opposed to, you know, 10 people at a grocery store. So personally, I think it's just very random. Hey, look, we're going to come right back in about 15 seconds. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got another question Ace asked, and we're going to get really deep into this. We're talking about the Buffalo shooting this past Saturday, 2:30 p.m. All right, y'all are watching rebrandUS. My name is Anthony Goodson, alongside my co-host Eric Russell, Agent A. Stinson. And Eric, I'm gonna let you go ahead and because she already gave you her name at the very beginning of the show.
I ain't gonna do it still.
You got it. You got it. Yeah.
Right on.
But hey, Anthony, before you go to the next question, let me say something about the last question that you just brought up with Ace. I look at it kind of a combination of what both of you are saying in regards to. I think it's isolated in the sense of I look at the Ku Klux Klan and anybody who have a racist agenda, like an extremist group. Like we try to make everybody in the Middle East to be extremists, right? I look at them like that, and that's how I separate that from any other white person. I separate from any other, whatever case may be. They're extremists, and they're a small sector of our country, but once again, sometimes they can be the loudest. You know what I mean? Sometimes when you're the loudest, you have a tendency to be, you're going to be heard. And sometimes we have a tendency to overgeneralize a population more than what it is because they're louder than anybody else. Because their actions speak louder than words. And obviously killing 10 people, whether it's random or and it could be initiation, because that may not make it random if it's an initiation situation, right? There's something you got to do to get into the group. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So I think it can be intentional, but I think it could be randomized to an extent, but like I said, from a whole extremist standpoint, I believe that they have a strategy. It's a part of a bigger plan still. I don't know. They're moving something into action for sure. When you got all these incidents happening in the same 2 year span, like I said, it been happening a lot since COVID. So I mean, something's happening.
Let's think about that. You said something. It could be initiation. All right. So the young man was what, 17, 18 years old, who did all the killing. He was like 18, 19 years old.
He was 18. Yeah.
18. All right. Yeah. So let me take y'all back and give y'all a quick little history lesson. Lee Harvey Oswald shot John F. Kennedy in 1964, 63, I believe, November 7th. All right. So had he gone to court and not been killed by Jack Ruby, he would have served state time. So he would have gotten about 10 to 25 years, because at that time, killing a president was not a federal crime. So he wouldn't have been in prison too long had he never got killed. I'm looking at the laws of the land. I don't know what Florida, New York, and I don't know none of the laws really, but you go in, you kill 10 people, that's 10 crimes, but they all run concurrently. Even though it's murder, they all run concurrently. So you might get 25 years per person. You don't get 250 years. You get 25 years because they run concurrently. So it's a state crime. I don't believe it was federal. He just killed 10 random people. He could have been out with good behavior in 15 years. 15 make this individual 33 years old.
Wow.
But he would get
in perspective.
Well, he should be charged. It would be capital murder for the simple
first degree.
It'd be the simple fact that killing more than one person in the same act of violence at one time that would justify this capital murder. So
it should justify, and you may be right, but we're looking at New York. We don't know how New York is. That's one of the things that throws me off. New York is a blue state this year. They're blue half the time. And so the funny part about that is when we think, and I guess we're a little bit older than Helen, so maybe she's a little bit further removed than we are. When I think about slavery, slaves are fleeing to the north to become free. As a kid, I thought that meant that the North was not racist. Don't get me wrong. I don't know anything about this boy. He could be from Alabama. But as a kid, I think they're fleeing to the North, the non-racist part. And so now we're looking at New York doing these killings on black people. Like we saw this happen in Connecticut. Was that little school some years ago? But it wasn't racially motivated. It was just an idiot going into a school killing folks. This is racially motivated in the state of New York City. Does that speak to y'all? Or was it just me who kind of saw that?
Now he did drive 200 miles, so I don't know where he exactly is from.
It shows how motivated he was, though. That's for darn sure.
Well, 200 miles is not very much. Buffalo, New York is probably about 200 miles from New York State. It may be 1-2 states.
But that makes it even crazier to think. Like, I'm honestly starting to see racism as a disease, kind of like alcoholism. Because how do you get into a car, drive 2+ hours, nothing but time, with this big behind gun next to you, and you just content that you about to take people's life, somebody, grandma, something, I'm like, that's a sickness. You are not okay.
He focused on his mission. He focused,
and that's crazy. That's crazy. Oof.
And let me ask this question real quick, because some people might not know much about this case at this point. So, Ace, I want you to tell people, how do we know this is racially motivated? You saw the video, right?
Oh, so so he streamed this live, and there's actual video. It was his video, so it's showing from his angle. So you're looking down the barrel of his gun, which had nigger wrote on the barrel of the gun. There's a white person hiding on the floor. The gunman is coming through, looking, and he points it at him, to shoot, and he looks at him, and the guy's like, no, and he realizes the guy is white, and he says sorry, and then he pulls the gun back up, and he finishes, and he goes looking for black people. So he was there for black people.
Let's go to the comments real quick, and thank you all for bringing the comments in. It doesn't tell who it is, Eric, if you want to take a look, but it says, Helen, you are right, it's crazy.
That's our number one fan.
Is that Miss Deborah Goodson?
That's Miss Deborah Goodson.
Oh, okay. See,
Deborah
should have been Kim, right? It's another thing. All right. So, has mental health become a cop out, or is it being truly looked at? Ace.
Well, first of all, I gotta explain why you're asking that question.
You want me to explain?
Well, I'll explain. So basically,
I'll explain. That's one of the questions you texted me. So
I'm saying I'll explain. I gave it to you as the host. So basically, what they're doing is, the excuses are already pouring in. So now they're trying to say that, the first thing they say is mental health. Right. Me personally, though, I think what Helen just got through talking about already dispels that. How do you drive 2+ hours? And to do, you've had, and my answer to her was, I said he was focused on his mission. He's pretty mentally sound to me.
Right.
Well, listen here. Before we get back to that, Las Vegas Strip Massacre, 604 people, total victims. And this is in 2017. Orlando nightclub, 102. Well, that's a big drop off. So this guy sat up on top of a building and shot 604 people. I didn't realize there's so many, with 58 fatalities. And then in the nightclub in Orlando, there was 102 victims, 49 fatalities. This is 2016. I believe that was a gay.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that was that gay nightclub. Yeah.
Right. And Aura, I guess that's Michigan, theater shooting, 82 victims, 12 people were killed in 2012. The list goes on. We were talking about this last night. The Virginia Tech Massacre, the one I was telling y'all about last night. 55 victims, 32 killed, 2007 is when that happened. And I'm not sure that any of those were actually racially motivated. One of them was obviously about gender or sex or whatever. And then the last one I have on here is El Paso, Texas, a Walmart mass shooting. This is 2019, August 3rd, my dad's birthday. Total victims 46, but I believe it says 20 were actually killed. Now that one I believe was racially motivated. So looking at the top 5, race is not necessarily the motivation behind killing all these people.
That's the top 5. The Lubies in Waco, Texas, didn't.
It didn't make the top 5.
Oh wow.
Even if it's not racially motivated, what was the race of the shooter in all of those?
That's similar.
So this is I want to go kind of a little bit back to what when we were talking about is this part of a bigger plan? And Eric touched on it. I say yes in the sense that this is terrorism. This is domestic terrorism. And the bigger plan is getting rid of Black people or anybody that's not white. So even if they not all doing Zoom calls, there's enough connections on the internet of small subgroups with this same belief system that probably encouraged him. Yeah, little boy, Johnny, Timmy, whatever the damn his name is, you should. Those niggers don't deserve to be here. Like, they in his ear, hyping him up. You should go X, Y, and Z. If you don't got a gun, you can get the bullets from here. Take this road, when you leave. All that is a terror cell. We have American terror cell, and America acting like we don't. The fact that you just named all that, and we have not seen no difference. Like, we having the same conversation.
Yes.
The same conversation. So however it's motivated, it's the same demographic of people that's doing these mass shootings. Now let it be when it was the crack epidemic. We all was talking about Black people was the devil, right? Like out here, but we not talking about how white people the devil when y'all the only ones out here doing mass shootings, no? We quiet about that, right? Okay, real interesting.
I think you bring up a great point. The point is almost cliche because we all feel that same way, but the problem is we don't know what to do about the point. We don't actually know. It
feels like you can't because we tried.
We've tried.
Black people have tried, but it don't matter because we don't have enough power. Racism is deep in America. It's so deep that we would literally have to genocide white people, to be honest.
Racism is
get rid of it.
Well, let me go ahead and round off the top 10 real quick. Texas First Baptist Church massacre. I don't know what city. 46. I'll just tell how many people died. 26 died in that one in 2017. I didn't even know about that one. Luby's number 7 Ace. 24 died in 91. Fort Hood massacre a couple years, 2009. There was 13 who died. Then there was a McDonald's massacre in 1984 in Columbine, what we talked about earlier. 13 people died in 1999. Now, what I do know based off all these, all the shooters were white males. All the shooters. And if I'm not mistaken, 94% of all serial killers, white male. So that's a deeper rooted issue. It's like when you look at mass murder, mass, genocide, whatever you want to call it, in America, it's usually white male. And what do we do about that? We can work on the crack epidemic. We can work on drive-by shootings and gang-related situations. But what do we do about this right here? And we always talk about copycats and all this stuff, but there should be a punishment that's so grand that really sends the signal. I don't know that they ever send a message. I don't know that they ever do that. Hey, we want to hear your comments. Tell us what you think about this situation in Buffalo. That's what we're talking about tonight. Buffalo, New York. 10 people killed this past Saturday at 2:30 p.m. I think it's very necessary that we recognize them. As you can see in Eric's box over there. It was Ace's, but he didn't want it in his picture. Apparently New York City was a little bit more important to him. We have the victim's picture. Remember their lives, it says. Man, I don't know. I'm kind of distraught. I don't know. These are random situations. This one just so happened to be against Black people. We had them, it's like less than a year ago. It just so happened to be against white people. Asians. At one point, it just so happened to be against gay people. At some point, it's going to touch everybody. It's going to just so happen to be against white females at some point. At some point, it's just so happen to be against Asian preachers. And that's what we're looking at. Until it touches you, then you don't really,
Well, they did have one this weekend in Dallas with the Korean Mart. They there was a big shooting over at the Korean Mart in Dallas.
Yeah, I saw that.
On the Korean side of town.
Was it a Korean person doing the shooting?
They don't know. I don't think they caught the person that did the shooting.
Man, he wasn't Korean. He been karate chopping. I'm sorry. All right, hey, look, we're gonna come back.
Last show, ladies and gentlemen.
Side note, let me tell y'all. One time, a friend of mine told me he went to the movies. He said a big fight broke out between some Asians. What's the first thing popping y'all's mind? My first question was a lot of karate? Is it racist? That's not racist. Is it?
A little bit. Now, was there a lot of corruption?
That's just like if it was us, they'd be like, was it Jerry Curl juice everywhere?
It was in the 80s. Hey, we'll be right back.
rebrandUS. It's motivating, inspiring. It's a conversation that needs to be had. It's Adrian, the Ace Stinson.
If you're not gonna help, don't hurt.
Eric Russell.
We need financial literacy. We also need to get over this level of fear that we have.
Anthony Gibson.
That my ancestors, whether they were slaves, innovators, or the first blacks to do something, their lives had a purpose.
It's unique to any other podcast. It's rebrand you, rebrand me. It's rebrandUS.
I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't know how long that thing was going to go. All right, let's go to comments real quick. It says, I think that person was white who was starting the shoot. And I'm assuming they're talking about the one over in Dallas that you were talking about. All right, before we went to break, we brought up the topic. We brought up the topic. It says, it says about the mental health. Let's touch back on that real quick, the mental health thing. Do y'all think it's a cop-out?
I think white young men have learned to say, I was bullied. I didn't have friends. Because if you notice, they'll say, he was so quiet. We didn't think anything like that of him. So I think they've learned to say that because that helps them get out of jail. I don't think so then I guess, yes, I do think it's a cop-out, but I don't think it's really a cop-out because there's something wrong with you. If you go out, drive hours to kill people for a certain, something wrong with you, baby. You can argue with your mama. Something wrong with you. You need a therapist. You need some counseling and a hug. So it is a cop-out, but I think it's because they also, like, they really are messed up, but they're just saying it because they know if you say that, you reduce time in jail. I was in my right mind. I didn't know what I was doing. You can't throw me in jail. I'm crazy.
So check this out, though. Now, it is a cop-out, but do we think it's just a cop-out, or is it a taught script?
See, that's what I was going with.
Say this. Okay, we're going to go with mental health. They have to evaluate it. They have to, and this is the thing I don't understand too. Just like this was racially motivated. He had nigger wrote on a rifle. Right. He only 14. Shot black people. Why, after the shooting, no one's ever proud to stand up and say that they're a white supremacist or a racist? It's why isn't it just I'm doing what I believe in? I'm a white supremacist. Right. It's never that. It's mental health. I never understood that. No one claims it. No one stands up proudly and says.
They don't make the racists the same no more.
See, that's a good point. That's good. I was thinking along the same line as you are in regards to that's a talk they have in that particular realm of people, that extremist group. Once again, black people have to talk with their kids about a whole different thing, right? About the whole police officer and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's our conversation, but this is their conversation. So I definitely believe it's a script. So I'm a part of the mental health field, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely think everybody has some type of mental health issue. Small, big,
100%.
in the midst of
range. I know I'm crazy.
We all have mental health issues. So you can't use that as an excuse to go kill people though. So that's my thing.
Mental health is just 20.
For sure.
It's today. It's today. It's so today, even with the situation like this. Like about a month ago, we were talking about Jada Pinkett had mental health issues. Will Smith may have some mental health. So it's a cop-out. It's definitely a cop-out for everything that does not go your way. Hey, I lose when I got mental health.
He won entanglement away from shooting some stuff up, so we better watch him.
But low-key, you make a good point though, Anthony, and it kind of goes with that phrase, everybody want to be black till it's time to be black.
Oh, wow.
Everybody, we all say, especially in that community, we don't need therapy. We don't need therapy until it benefits us to say, oh, we need therapy. So I don't know how in the white community, how they look at therapy, but if they wasn't proud advocates of it before, it's nice to, it's it's convenient to be a mental health advocate when you facing 50 years of prison if you're not crazy.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
I think it's part of therapy. They be in the office setting out in trouble. You be like, have you ever tried a 357 Magnum in the crowd?
Right. That's not funny.
But you know what? I want to go back to what you said, Ace. I don't. It's a great question. The question is, why is it that you're not proud? Like we say it loud,
Yeah.
I'm black and I'm proud. I mean, obviously we're black, so we can't deny that. But when you are a KKK member or whatever member they are, one of these white supremacy groups, why don't they say that loud? What is the backlash of saying it, especially after you just killed 10 black people?
It's part of the script.
But what good does that do?
Because
Go back out.
Yeah, you go back out, definitely. It's kind of like this. You're black and you're proud. You say it with your chest, right? You want everybody to know that they know what people know what's going on. They ain't gotta see, but to keep them out of legal trouble, you can't really say that. You know what I'm saying? It's a script, and it's definitely intentional. That's my perspective. It's just the fact that why say it out loud. We know what we doing. We ain't got to front for anybody else. We already know what we got going on.
Comment says it's the sneak attack.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. Helen?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say is it's also like I was being funny when I said it, but they don't make races like they used to before. Back in the day, you know, you lynched a black man, you telling everybody and their cousin that you just lynched your first nigger. And nowadays, I feel like we're in this space where there is enough awareness of racism. There's enough recordings of these unjustified killings. There's enough conversation about it. Although it's not consistent, it's enough. I think it's enough representation that racism is not tolerated like it used to be back in the day. And somebody gonna say something to you. And black people aren't afraid to lose their life to take your life for taking a black life nowadays, like they were back in the day. Like a black person will retaliate easily and not care too much about it. So I think to be a racist in a world that is more aware that racism is not the play for everybody, you got to toe that line well. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if you go to prison and you don't got the Aryan Brotherhood? You just some lame racist that go to prison and you a small fish in a big pond. You got to play your cards right. You might have to go and act like you don't like Jews too. So you can't be saying something you proud about and then go to prison and realize, oh, actually, I'm not this big bad guy I thought I was. I'm going to have to need some protection. So I think the world we live in, they want to be proud about it, but you a punk at the end of the day too. So you're not going to represent.
And I'll say this too, in regards to the gun, like I say, you have the word nigga on it, but I also said the number 14. I don't know about you guys know about the number 14, but that's a racist, has a racial undertone with a number.
Can you explain that? I don't know about that.
Tell me about
number 14. It's a number represent the Aryan Brotherhood basically, and it's all about that particular brotherhood. And what Aryan Brotherhood stand for, we don't like black people, we don't like Jews. So look it up and research it a little bit more yourself. I didn't do it justice, but for sure look it up. It has meaning to it. That's why I'm always going to encourage anybody to look up research. I hate people getting on and talking about giving opinions without some type of factual or some kind of research or some kind of education behind what they're saying. So I'm always going to support people and encourage people to go look up stuff for yourself. You can't take everybody's word for it. Like you going to church, you can't take the pastor's word. Everything he read in the scripture, because you may get a different understanding than he does. So,
but when
let's see if he gets the death penalty. I like the way Eric gave us that comment, told us to go research it. He didn't give us nothing. I'm sorry, Helen, what were you saying?
Well, I was gonna say though, to that point of researching, I just looked it up and they just keep talking about an angel number 14. So how do I get the 7
is completion. I don't know if doubling it has anything to do with it, but I just assumed the first 8 numbers only had any kind of meaning to it. 8 meaning new beginning. So I don't know 14. If anybody out there knows what the number 14 means, it's an Aryan Brotherhood.
It's a numeric symbol used by the Aryan Knights in Idaho-based prison gangs to identify themselves, substituting letters for numbers. So look it up. If you look up, 14,
it doesn't make sense to have a number.
It gotta make sense to you. It gotta make sense to you. That doesn't mean that's not true.
KKK had on the hood, so we wouldn't know who they are. But the Aryan Brotherhood, now we got Google, they got 14 written on everything. It's easy to find out what that means. And yet they identify themselves by the number 14, so we now know. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
It ain't gotta make sense though. That don't mean it ain't right. That mean it ain't real. That mean it ain't true.
No, I'm not saying it's right, real, or not real. What I'm saying is, what sense does it make to them. I mean, like all of a sudden they're taking the hoods off, putting on number 14.
Well,
now we can actually see
we wouldn't know. You know, we don't know their values, their aims.
We know now.
What it stands for.
Again, though, that's the value of, like, you ain't gotta say it out loud. You got all these different symbols, all the different things in the background. You ain't gotta say it out loud. It's their.
But see, rebranders just let the people know what 14 means. So if you see an individual with a tattoo on their arm that has the number 14, you kind of have an idea of what that person is about.
But check it out though. If you see the word nigger on somebody's gun, you know what they're about too, right?
But you don't see that.
You
don't see that though.
But you saw it on the gun. It said nigga on the gun, just like it had 14 on the gun.
But the people who saw it on the gun, with the exception of the people who saw it on the camera, were killed shortly thereafter. I'm saying you can go with that gun and shoot up all the people, and nobody is gonna ever recognize that you got a nigga. They just gonna recognize you got a gun. And they're gonna run off. It just so happened. And Twitch, by the way, was the name of the streaming service or social network, whatever that airs this live.
So I wonder why he went there. I wonder why he went on Twitch.
Twitch it's got a lot of less restrictions than the
I wonder who all is in that realm.
A lot of folks.
Helen apparently knows something about Twitch. Helen, are you on Twitch?
Yeah, I'm trying to Google like my man Eric saying to do.
Like gaming, a lot of people from the gaming era, they do a lot of Twitch and things like that. People on the radio, they do use Twitch. I mean, a lot of people use Twitch.
Just like I got a bunch of Twitches.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
We're talking about Buffalo, New York, and what happened this past weekend, 2:30 on Saturday. 10 black people were murdered. Look over Eric's shoulder. His your left shoulder, and it shows 10 people on that photo that that were murdered in cold blood for absolutely positively no reason. The reason why I think it's so important for us to talk about this is because they were not targeted. I mean, except for their skin color. Each one of them actually were just going to the grocery store to buy some eggs and butter and bread and whatever.
Minding their business.
That could be
grocery.
That could be
a lotto team.
It could have been any one of us. So I think that's the thing that we need to look at the most. But the problem is, sometimes I tell people this all the time. I try not to do wrong in a lot of areas because I just don't like to look over my shoulder. Yeah, I see that stuff over there. It's cheap if I just steal it. But then I gotta steal it. I gotta wonder if I got caught. I gotta, what all comes with that. So now you have to, as a black person, go to the grocery store and look over your shoulders. Is that what that says? Or not even just a black person. You could be a gay person. Whatever number 14 people don't like, if they see you out in public, they could just shoot you at random and be initiated in whatever it is they may be initiated in because you're at the grocery store.
Let me say this.
We all have to go to.
This is why I think it's important to be intentional about not allowing ourselves to be desensitized. Like what you said, it could have been me, it could have been my wife, it could have been my kids, it could have been anybody on this panel right now. So you have to look at it from that perspective. There, we cannot allow ourselves to be desensitized by these continued killers. We have to be continued retroactive. We have to continue to do something. Whether that's a little something to protect your family a little bit more, whether it's a little something to protect your community a little bit more, whatever the case may be, you have to be really intentional about this. You can't allow yourself to walk off by the wayside and like, this doesn't bother me anymore. We have to be intentional about that.
The thing about it is, as far as the black community thing, that we tried everything except unity. That's the one thing. We'll march and act the fool, something, but we've never brought our dollars together. We've never stopped the violence.
We have, and then white America has stopped it. Because there was a whole Black Wall Street.
Oh no, I'm talking about modern age. No, back then we got together. So I'm talking about modern age.
21st century.
Is it that black people are only united when white people join hands with us? Because Trayvon Martin was a national story. George Floyd was a national story. We heard a lot about these things. We saw them on TV. We cried together. White people knew, oh my God, there's a problem. They're killing them. What's going on? And so we then all of a sudden, had our own empathy with our own people. But that's because it was accepted by the white media.
I don't think it's that. I think it was a trend.
And
that's the same thing.
I agree both. Now we can say that goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's not up to just black people to do something. White America has to make something shake. And so I think, to your point, Anthony, when we start to see white tears and white empathy and white feelings, then we're like, okay, you on board. Something might finally be able to change because enough of y'all crying about it. Besides our black tears, we got some white tears, and these white tears starting to amount just as much as these black tears. So I think I
Well, you know what? Good point. Because I mean, let's think about it. Let's put this in perspective. Let's look at numbers. If there were 100 people in America, just 100 people, what 55 of those people will be black? I'm white. I'm sorry. 55 of those people will be white. Maybe about 10, 12 of those people would be black, and then the rest, right? If something happened to one of those black people, now for the bigger number, it doesn't lessen it. But if something happened to one of those people, and 10 black people are crying, the other 55 don't see those 10. So I think that's how we see it. You know, we don't really get the ability to have white America to really see the issues that we go through and stand the test of time. That way we can see change. What happens is they tug on the heartstring just enough they can feel better tomorrow. And I'm not saying it's all of their problem, but I am saying it's an issue that we're dealing with. Let's go to the comments real quick. Let's do the short one first, then we'll do the thesis next. It says, thank you to all the viewers. We appreciate each and every one of you. I'm assuming that's Kim.
No, that's me. Don't give up my props.
Oh, it says Facebook users, not telling me. It says,
and this is Miss Carolyn Malone Thomas.
Okay, read it for us, Ace.
Look, I didn't even read in school when the teacher asked me. It's been made more serious and deadly since Trump resurrected it during the MAGA presidency years. He resurrected the active racist activities started after the Emancipation Proclamation outbursts that continued openly throughout the 60s, leading up to King and other civil rights leaders' assassinations. The resurgence started again with Trayvon Martin and others until Trump blew the top off the kettle by supporting the South Carolina insurrection and all the black men and women murdered.
No, I agree with that. That's good stuff. Right
I'll
there,
finish it. Yeah. It says South Carolina insurrection, all the black men and women murdered, leading up to the knee murder. The knee, of course, George Floyd. And the beat continues to escalate even to last weekend. Come quickly, Lord Jesus, he says. And this, of course, is coming from one of Jesse Jackson's right-hand women out of Washington, D.C., Carolyn Thomas. Yeah, I think so. I think it's something that we haven't addressed properly. That's the problem, Helen. We haven't properly addressed it. It's like I agree with that. And I've seen this and I've heard this and I agree with this. They say that in every community, you know, you got the Asian people, maybe a preacher or some kind of person who went off to school and learned how, civil rights work or whatever the case may be. White community, Mexican community, but not ours. Ours is Bo Jackson, Jim Brown, and Muhammad Ali. These are our activists and the people that. And I understand.
Would you say Herschel Walker?
Yes, I would actually, but I wouldn't say it in the way that you would expect, obviously, because I think Herschel Walker is the voice for just the wrong reasons. And that's the unfortunate part. It's like, how do we give somebody like him that much power? Him, Candace Owens, and all these other people. We give them way too much power, so it opposes, whatever the Martin Luther Kings of the world are doing. Hey, look, let's take a real quick break. We're gonna come right back. We're gonna finish this thing up. We're talking about the Buffalo, New York shooting that happened over the weekend this past Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Let's remember those 10 people, y'all. All right, we are back. My name is Anthony Goodson. I'm the host of rebrandUS, alongside Adrian, Eric, and Helen, sitting in for Kim tonight. We're having a good time talking about, I don't know if good time is the right word to use, but we're talking about the Buffalo, New York shooting. We thank y'all for the comments coming in. We want y'all to continue to bring those in. Tell us your thoughts, because we're in our 40s and 20s, and we want answers just like the next person does. We want to be able to go to a grocery store and know that we're secure. And if, the world is the world, we got to remember that. But if I am killed, I want justice to be served. There was a killing, y'all remember, about a year ago in our backyard, fellas, in what was the name of that city? Wool City, I believe, Texas. A young man was killed by a off-duty police officer. Do y'all remember that killing?
Yeah.
And we're talking about desensitization or being desensitized. What's the word?
Desensitized.
Yeah, there we go. And that was in our own backyard. Many of us, I didn't know the guy, but a lot of my Facebook friends, they actually knew him. So all of a sudden now it's a little bit closer to home. And we see this so often. In the 60s, they would not let it happen. But in 2022, we make more money. We let it happen. 2022, we're waiting on, Michael Jordan to donate $1 million to the police fund or something like that, so it won't happen. What's next? What do we do? What's our solution, Eric?
But I think we definitely overlook. We definitely look at the people who have the money, who have the spotlight on them. But there are many community activists out there that don't get the shine that they deserve, and so of course the media will give them the shine because they're doing something helpful, and it's going against whatever the plan is, opposite of what they're trying to accomplish right now. So there's a lot of people out there doing activism work. They don't need the shine. They don't want the shine necessarily, but there's people that we definitely need to give their props and follow behind those people. We don't necessarily need somebody like Michael Jordan to get behind. That's somebody that white people know. It's somebody that we know, but I just want somebody that's gonna do the work, and I can. They know what they're doing. They can lead the direction. I don't need nobody that has the spotlight and all this money. Show me what you want me to do, and I'll do it.
But see, I beg to differ. I think that we need somebody with. I don't think it needs to be a celebrity. I don't think it needs to be a musician or an actor or anything like that. Let's take a young man here in Dallas. His name is Dominique Alexander. He's doing a whole lot of stuff. Or let's take John Wiley Price, somebody that everybody knows. He did a whole lot of stuff in the 80s. But I think once that name is out there for that act, for what he does, that's what he's known. We know when he shows up, and he can't show up to everything, that this is a cause to jump on board. And I mean, just random Dominique, let's use him for an example. Nobody knows him. He shows up there by himself, maybe his 2 or 3 friends, and little gets done. But when John Wiley Price in Dallas shows up, the news station is coming. That's when the media shows up, and maybe we can see some change. Unfortunately, I think that's what it's going to take. I don't think that the small fish can do a whole heck of a lot in 2022.
Well, see, that's kind of where I feel like it gets to the point like you pull on the heartstrings, and people feel like they're satisfied at that point because the big fish have done the job, and we've all rallied together for a month or 2, and then it's done. People just because that work is done. I think it's gonna take everybody. I say this all the time. Everybody needs to sit on the bus. It could be the bus driver who's gonna need to do their part, all the way back to the person in the back seat got to do their part. So if the bus driver take off and he walk off the bus, we can't stop the bus. Somebody's got to take that lead. General Price go. Somebody's got to jump up in that bus. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be regular John or whoever it may be. So it's going to take both of it. It's going to take all of it, not just John, not just a John Wiley Price, not just a regular old Joe and John. It's going to take all of us.
I agree, but I don't think that's America. I think, and I just might be hella jaded, to be honest. I have actually, since I've been in high school, though, I've actually been saying I'm not proud to be an American. And I still believe in that because America is trash, in my opinion. And I think it's sad that we even boast about being a free country, but we got all these shootings. What's really free about this country if you got people that live in fear because they can't go outside due to their sexuality, their race, their religion? If they got Muslim and they rapper, they hijab, like it's unfortunate, and to what he says, America, I agree, America is racism. When I think of racist, go to America. That's the definition. Go any city in America, there's a pocket of not just soft racist, a pocket in every city, I believe, of aggressive racists. Racists that will pop you between your eyes and keep walking, not think twice about it, just cause. And I think that's unfortunate.
The Bible says that money answereth all problems. If you got money, you can get a lawyer. America's about the best lawyer. Who has the best lawyer?
Right.
You can get off. And I probably shouldn't say this given what we're talking about today, but I will. OJ had a great lawyer. He had lots of money, and OJ never saw the inside of a prison. So, I mean, I think that goes along the line. I mean, of course, if you caught on tape and seen by millions and all this, that, and the other, especially in 2022, then because it goes viral. You got YouTube, you got Facebook, you got social media and all these things, then it's much more difficult to have just a good lawyer. But a good lawyer can soften the blow. Yeah. You know, if you're going to do something with a cause, you can do it with that cause and the blow can be softened. A woman in Dallas, Texas went into a man's home while he was sitting there watching television and she killed him. She said, oops, I thought I was in my police officer. A police officer.
Oh
I
yeah.
thought I was in my own apartment. And she got off basically 10 years, but she got off. So I think if you have the right lawyers, you have the right money, you could, you can get off.
It's who you know.
It's who you know.
Let me say this real quick too. I want to address Helen and anybody else who may feel like Helen. I think we all have felt like what Helen feels like. There's nothing we can do to create a better America. And maybe there's not. Maybe there is nothing we can do. But I really encourage people. I'm always going to encourage people. It's a mental health piece coming out of me now. You have to keep hope. Otherwise, what else do you have? You have to keep the hope alive. Yeah. Not necessarily for America to change, but what you can do to change around what's around you. You know what I'm saying? You can control what's around you. And if enough people, I still believe like if enough people do that, there's some change that can happen. Maybe not up in the Supreme Court, not in the court system, but just how we interact with each other. I think you control what's around you. Enough people do that, I believe there could be some change that people can see. So I'm always going to encourage people to keep the hope. So
I agree too. I believe that I'm a man of God, and I believe that God is the change that we want to be a part of. We want Him to be the one to make those changes, but He's going to give every man free will. So I think the most important part, as far as I'm concerned, is just to be right with Him, so that if those negative things do happen, of course, you know where you're going to go. But if they're not happening and life is just marching along, then you got an opportunity every day. So anyway, hey, look, y'all, let's remember those 10 victims who were shot and killed in Buffalo, New York. Could have been anybody. Thank God it wasn't us.
Hey, yo, Ace, who do we have on the show next week?
Hey, yo, Ace, who we got on the show next week?
Oh, well, next week we're going to try to liven it up a little bit. We definitely have to get serious today, because we have to address this topic. Next week we're going to have a lot of fun. I did a lot of recruiting. Had to get a couple of permits to go a couple of places, but we're actually going to be interviewing a group of dancers. We're actually going to interview ballerinas with ingrown toenails. No pain, no gain.
That's a real thing. Ingrown toenails is a mother sucker. I hate them things.
Yeah, and so we're going to have ballerinas that suffer with that. So the show's going to be named No Pain, No Gain.
But you know what? All right, Helen, I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. I hadn't even consulted with Kim and Eric and Ace. We would love for you to be on the show next week. Next week,
I'm always down.
Next, you gotta have your ballerina shoes on.
No,
I just told you I don't like ingrown toenails, so I'm gonna opt out of that one now.
Next week is a big show. It's a special show. Eric, tell them what we got going on next week.
I'm not 100 episode of rebrandUS.
Pump it up, pump it up, pump it up, pump it up.
Next week we are celebrating episode 100 of rebrandUS on the actual 100th episode. So you never can tell. It's gonna be t-shirt giveaways. What else? We're giving away bags of. No, we know not. We're giving away a few things. We got maybe some videos. It's gonna be a lot going on. We're really excited.
We also gonna have the opportunity for 10 people to win $100 in memory of our 100th episode. You got to tune in and try to be one of the lucky ones.
That's news. That's good, Ace.
I have nothing to do with that. Ace gets paid next week.
You see what I'm saying? We just got to talk about us not sticking together. You see how
I was just going to say, they dropped you like a hot potato on that one, real quick.
Yeah, he said 10 people win $100. That's $1,000. I said the people on the show.
I said the opportunity.
Well, that's 250 person per member of the show. I mean dollars per member. I am not coming up out of $250. I'm gonna tell you that now. So
I said the opportunity.
Opportunities.
If the funds come to be, there's a chance.
You know what? I didn't know what I was saying. It's mental health. I didn't know what I was saying.
Helen, I enjoyed you so much. Please come back. Who was it, Eric?
I'm always
Deborah Goodson.
Miss Goodson. You got it.
Right on. That's my mom.
As long as they want me. Hey, mama. Listen, I love when mamas love me. Mm-hmm. Love you, Mama Goodson. I'll be back.
Hey, look, we had a whole lot of fun tonight. We thank each and every one of you for joining us. Next week, we are definitely giving away some t-shirts. Helen will be on. She'll be wearing her t-shirt also. It's going to be pretty exciting.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, you'll be wearing yours too.
Hey, now listen, y'all. If I come on this show without a shirt, Y'all better let my man know.
That's why I'm trying to give away the 100 for 10. At least we don't worry about it.
Hey, we'll see y'all next week.